Today I take a question from one of our main fans, Mr. Will Visser, who asks, have I ever invested in a business based on an emotional choice because they were looking to do great things rather than commercial capabilities? I outline why we as entrepreneurs can draw no distinction between the two, and that vision, mission, values needs to correlate to financial performance each and every time.
28 and I'm trying to shape history, pulling from the sky for some strength to take with me, line up the stars, fly away quickly and push the world forward like a tidal wave hit me. I ride the wave swiftly, I fear no man, check my titles mate quickly, came from the sky with the light of day in me and grew my own wings so the pilot...
Episode 180, thank you for joining us. Rosie, what's today's question?
Okay, so today's question comes from Will Visser, long-time
Will.
fan of the show. Love you, Will.
That's a main man.
Okay, so he says, "Hi Jack, have you ever invested in a business based on an emotional choice for what the business can do for the world instead of a financial based one where profit may not be as great?"
They are not separate things. They're one and the same. So if something's not going to be profitable in a business, so I'm talking business, if it's not going to be profitable, it's not going to change the world, right? If you think Apple made a big impact on the world, it's because they're doing about $230 billion each year. A few years ago, when they were the largest business in the world, they had more cash in the bank than the US government. So you can't, well, okay, let me qualify this. There are some instances throughout history where people have been able to generate very large movements and do things without having $230 billion in revenue each year. However, even the Gandhis of the world, even the Nelson Mandelas of the world were incredibly effective at fundraising, right? One of the things Richard Branson says is that people think Nelson Mandela is a political activist, and obviously he was, one of the most revered political activists of all time. He said, however, first and foremost, he was a salesman. He said you couldn't have dinner with Nelson without cutting a check for $1 million, right? And so even the Nelson Mandelas of the world, who weren't in business, they were just trying to change the world, needed finance in order to do so. And so, Will, if somebody came to me with a great intention and they were going to go out and do all of these amazing things, however, they were planning to run it off love, trust, and pixie dust, I'm not investing in that business financially, emotionally. I'm not investing in that business with anything that I have, because it's not enough to want to change things, right? And for those of you that have heard me talk about breaking the cycle before, my parents experienced this when I was young. They were running a not-profit organisation called Breaking the Cycle, incredibly effective at what it did in terms of taking long-term unemployed youth off the street, placing them into employment. Wasn't commercially sound, government pulls the funding, organisation collapses, right? And so I think everybody, well, I shouldn't say I think everybody, in my view of the world, I like to personally come from a space of trying to make a contribution and make the world a better place. However, the 90 people that I employ here, if I go up to them next Tuesday and go, guys, I can't pay your salaries today, but believe me, I really want to contribute to the world, I would expect most of them to walk. And actually, most of them probably wouldn't. However, because we have that level of connection and trust amongst one another. However, I wouldn't do it, right? It's not enough to have the intent. You need to be able to operationalise on the intent. And I can just tell already you're going to get so many comments going, no, Jack, you can do amazing things without money. It's very limited without finance, right? So yes, come from the place and space of wanting to contribute. And that doesn't mean you need to be in the business of education, right? It would have been really easy for Steve Jobs to go, we just sell iPhones. What do you mean make a contribution? But he viewed it as artistry. He viewed it as so much more. He viewed technology as the bicycle for the human mind, enabling us to travel further and faster. It'd be really easy for Richard Branson to go, we just fly airplanes and drive trains and deliver some financial services products. What do you mean a business for good? What do you mean make a difference? What do you mean become the most respected brand in the world, right? So it doesn't matter what you do. I'm saying you can find purpose and intent and come at whatever you do. Even property development, cleaning company, own a bakery, don't care. There's something that you are contributing to the lives of others. That is the place and space in my experience, when you truly, genuinely, every cell in your body come from that place in space, you become so much more influential and impactful, and that differentiates you from a business, from a world that think business is a vehicle for greed, right? More is better, greed is good. That's not the paradigm I come from. I come from the space of business is a great vehicle to take ideas and to take great things into the world. And if I want it to travel, even if I'm in the business of making a difference, if I want my vision to travel, money is the fuel that will enable it to do so. It's no good coming at it with all of this intention and going, oh, the money will take care of itself. It really won't, right? And so come from that intent, come from that place and space. However, you need to develop an incredibly high commercial intellect in order to ensure the longevity, in order to ensure it travels, and in order to ensure that it grows on a sustainable basis, right? I'm reading a book at the moment that talks about the relationship between intellect and heart, right? Intellect being the head stuff, the rational stuff, and the heart stuff being intelligence, right? Like emotional EQ and like creativity and compassion and kindness. So intelligence, intellect. And it makes a very good point in that, yes, you should absolutely develop intellect in this particular metaphor. Yes, you should absolutely develop commercial intellect. However, only as servant to the heart. So if we apply that to life, we develop intellect only as servant to the heart. So the heart leads. You follow your heart. You follow your intuition. You follow that pull that you have towards whatever brings you joy, whatever makes you curious. Then you develop the intellect in order to be able to operationalize it to fulfill it. Same is true in business. Have the heart lead, have your intentions lead. However, you need to develop a very sound commercial intellect and capability to be able to operationalize and to see that become something and ultimately go into the world to make a difference, right? So you cannot see a separation between the two. One fulfills the other, and they need to co-create each other. Really good question.
So what that means right now is my head's in the cloud, my feet